Hey everyone, it's Jen, and welcome to your practice today. Today's practice is a morning flow called Light and Expansive, and the practice is centered around the peak posture, the upward facing wide angled pose. So we'll use the practice to prepare for that pose, and as we get to that pose, don't worry if that pose isn't in your practice, as I will give you some variations to work with at that time. So for today's practice, you could use two blocks, possibility of using a strap, maybe a blanket to support your knees. And if you like to bolster your knees for Shavasana, maybe grab a bolster or a pillow. We're going to begin today's practice in the wide kneed child's pose. So the blocks can go to the front short side of your yoga mat. Knees and shins can be supported by your blanket. Big toes coming together and then knees apart, and then you're going to walk your hands forward, coming into the wide knee child's pose. So take your time as you're coming into that pose, and if you want to even just kind of sway the body a bit from side to side as you start to make your way forward. Maybe lower the chest toward the floor, and then maybe slightly elevate the chest as you feel ready. Taking your time, finding your way into stillness. So I often like to stack my palms and allow my forehead to rest upon my stacked palms, but you could also allow your forehead to rest directly onto the mat if that feels okay on your neck. Taking a deep inhalation. Deep exhalation. Noticing the breath across the ribs on the back body. Notice the softness of the breath across the back of your throat. Take another inhalation and exhalation here. Begin to stretch the arms out long by the ears. We're going to take a side stretch here before we rise up to all fours. So we'll walk the hands over to the right, stretching out long through the left side of the body. You might even allow your right elbow to bend and anchor your right hand in. Your hips might gently nudge off to the left as you stretch long through the left side body. Deep inhalation. Deep exhalation. You're going to walk the hands through the center. Take the hands over to the left. Stretching out long through the right side body and the right arm, maybe bending your left elbow so the hand firmly grounds you into the earth. The hips might gently nudge slightly off to the right. Chin slightly coming in toward the chest. Deep inhale across the right lung, right rib cage, right side body. And using your next inhalation to start to come back to the center and then rising up to all fours tabletop. So as you come up, bring your knees underneath of your hip points. Have your hands a little wider than the shoulders. Spread your fingers and inhale, release your belly down toward the floor and lift up through your heart. Cow tilt. As you're exhaling, press down into your hands. Take your tailbone under. Ground through the spinal column as you feel that space between the shoulder blades and lift upward to the sky. As you're breathing in, let your belly release down toward the floor, lifting up through the heart. Exhale, anchoring your hands into the mat. Take the tailbone under, shoulder blades drawing apart. One last time, inhale, release the belly down to the floor. And if you like on this next exhale, you can press the balls of your feet into the mat, round in your spine a bit, and then move your sitting bones back towards your heels, just to bring a little bit of stretch through the soles of your feet. On your next inhalation, let your hips rock back up so the hips are over the knees, tops of the feet down to the mat. We're gonna ground into the right knee. I'm just gonna take the left leg and kickstand the left leg out to the side. So the legs are in what's called gate position. So we just wanna start to open up through the inner legs. So we're gonna rock the hips back toward the floor, toward the right heel. And then rock the hips back upward. So reach out long through the crown of the head. You can allow your elbows to be somewhat soft as you're shifting the hips back and then forward. And just a few more times. So the upward facing wide angle pose requires openness in the inner legs as well as the hamstrings. So this rocking gate position can start to initiate some openness in the inner legs. So one more time. Okay, hips rocking back up. Allow your left knee to come back down to the floor. Now before we do the second side, just walk your hands a little bit to the right. Lean a little more into the right knee so you can step your left foot forward. And then you're gonna come into low lunge. You can use the blocks beneath the hands. We're gonna work a little bit now with the back of the left leg. So you're gonna let your hips go down a little bit toward the floor, taking the low lunge position. And then as you're exhaling, you're gonna move your hips back, rocking onto your left heel, half split pose. And we'll just do that a few times. So as you breathe in, you can allow your left foot to come back down, low lunge position. And then as you're exhaling, let your hips rock back, rocking onto your left heel. Let's do that one more time. So inhale, planting the left foot down onto the floor. Exhale, moving the hips back, coming into the half split pose. Inhale as you plant the left foot down. You're going to press into the right ball of the foot to lift the right knee away from the floor and spin the right heel down to the mat in preparation for warrior two. So left knee is about over the left ankle, and you're going to inhale, start to circle your arms around so that you turn to face the right long side of the mat. And as you breathe in, just let your arms sweep up by your ears. Allow your left knee to straighten. And as you exhale, allow your arms to come back out to parallel the floor as the left knee bends over the left ankle. Let's do that 2 more times. So just breathe in, allow your left knee to straighten. Exhale to allow the left knee to bend, arms come parallel to the earth. One last time, take a deep breath in, let your arms sweep up by your ears. Allow your left knee to straighten, and then as you exhale, let your arms come to parallel the floor as you bend your left knee. Taking another nice, slow, deep inhalation here. And as you exhale, we're gonna let the arms come around. So you're gonna frame the front left foot again. Spin off of your back right heel. Step your blocks to the side. We're gonna step the left foot back into the first downward facing dog. So as you look up at your hands, have your hands a little wider than your shoulders. Your feet can be frontal hip bone distance apart or a little wider with the feet also is fine. And then just walk out your legs a few times, bending in one knee, anchoring the leg that's moving towards straight toward the floor. And then just switching the legs. Leg that's moving towards straight, press the heel toward the floor to bring some stretch up through the ankle and the calf. All right, deep inhale, deep exhale. And then as you breathe in, lightly take your knees back down into the tabletop. So gate legs, right leg is extending out to the side this time. So you're gonna take your inhalation here, reach out through the crown of your head. Then you're gonna begin to shift your hips back toward the floor, toward the left heel. And then allow your hips to rock back upward. And then a few times, just steady and strong through the hands, somewhat soft through the elbows. I find that softness in the elbows makes the flow a little gentler on the shoulders. Deep inhale. Deep exhale. And this time as your hips are rocking back up, we're gonna let the right knee come back down to the floor. So you can walk a little to the left, lean a little bit into the left hand, left knee, so you can step your right foot forward. Bring the hands around to frame the front right foot. Hands can rest onto the yoga blocks. So low lunge to begin. So hands on the earth or supported by the blocks. Hips melting toward the floor a bit, and then as you're exhaling, move the hips back and rock onto the front right heel. Inhale as you allow the right foot to come back down to the floor, low lunge position. The low belly just gently draws in a bit toward the spine, and then as you exhale, move your hips back, rock onto your right heel. And then last one, inhale, low lunge. Exhale, taking the half split pose. Inhale to take low lunge. Now as the right foot comes down, press into the left ball of the foot and allow the left knee to lift away from the floor. Spin your left heel down to the mat in preparation for warrior two. So right knee approximately over the right ankle, strong through the legs and the feet. Inhale fluid as you rise up with the arms and the body, turning the chest to face the left long side of the yoga mat in warrior two. Now as you take your inhalation, allow your right knee to straighten and sweep your arms up by the sides of your face, and as you exhale, bend your right knee and allow your arms to come out parallel to the floor. Inhale, let your arms sweep up by your ears as your right knee straightens. And as you exhale, allow your right knee to bend and arms to come parallel to the floor. Last time, inhale, sweep your arms up. And exhale, arms come to parallel the floor as the right knee bends over the ankle. Take one more deep inhalation. Stretch out through your inner elbows and out through your arms. As you exhale, your hands are gonna come around to frame your right foot as you spin off of your back left heel. This time, I'm gonna shift the blocks a little bit forward. Bend in the back left knee, press off the foot, step forward. Hands on the blocks, the shins are the floor. Inhale, lift through the belly and reach out nice and long through the spine. Exhale as you bend the knees slightly and fold the body into the legs. Inhale to reverse, let your knees bend and sweep your arms out to the side, rising upward. Exhale as your right hand comes to your right thigh, slide your right hand down your thigh and side tilt over to the right, stretching open through the left side body. Inhale as you come back up through the center, both arms by the ears. Exhale, left hand to the left thigh, slide the hand down, side stretch over to the left. Inhale as you come back up through the center, prayer hands are gonna come through the heart. Bend the knees and hinge the torso forward over the legs, coming into the forward fold. As you inhale, hands on the blocks, the shins are the floor. Lift your spine halfway. Exhale, step your right foot back, spin your right heel down, rising up for warrior two. Inhale, rise up. Turn the chest to face the right long side of the yoga mat. Landing here in warrior two, breathe in, straighten your front left knee. So that back right foot, we're gonna come into triangle. So if you like, you can heel toe the right foot in an inch or two for a slightly shorter stance. Soften your left knee a bit, hinge your body forward as though you're reaching past the front short side of the mat. And then as you start to hinge down, let your left knee start to move back towards straight. Left hand can land on your shin bones as your right arm either stretches up to the sky or maybe lands on your right hip. Take a deep inhale and a deep exhale so you can feel your legs strong and the foundation steady as you also tap into the spaciousness and expansiveness of this pose. As you reach your arms out from your heart, take a deep inhale, deep exhale. So one more breath in here, and as you exhale, we're gonna bring the hands to frame the front left foot, bend the left knee, spin the right heel away from the floor, step the left foot back into downward facing dog. Now you can stay here in the downward dog. You can also always take child's pose. Otherwise, I'm gonna have you lightly lower your knees to the mat. Move your hips forward. Maybe you'll have to inch your hands a little forward. Float your feet away from the floor and cross at your ankles and your calves. So we're gonna take a breath in, and as you exhale, we're gonna allow the elbows to bend. So think about maybe bending the elbows maybe 2, 4, 6 inches. Now as you're breathing in, you're gonna let your hips start to come down, uncross your feet, and then let your heart lift into cobra position. Exhale, we're gonna take the hips back to down dog. So you can rock through table and then lift your knees up as your sitting bones rise up, coming into the downward facing dog. You can walk out through your legs or maybe finding a place of active stillness, connecting into the rhythm of the inhale and the exhale. Deep inhalation, and as you're exhaling, look up toward your hands. You can begin to step your feet forward, feet landing beneath your hips, hands on the blocks, the shins are the floor. Inhale, lift halfway. Strong into your feet, feel your shoulder blades draw down your back, and as you're exhaling, soften your knees and fold in. Relax through your head. Breathe in, let your knees bend, sweep your arms out to the side, rise into extended mountain. Exhale, right hand to the right thigh, side tilts over to the right. Inhale as you come up through the center, fingertips reaching upward. Exhale, left hand to your left thigh, side tilts over to the left. Inhale as you come through the center, reach up through your arms, prayer hands coming through your heart, bend your knees and fold your body forward over your legs. Now as you're inhaling, lift through the belly halfway, lift through the spine. Exhale, left foot stepping back, left heel spinning down. Inhale, warrior two. Facing the left long side of your mat as you breathe in, you can straighten your right knee. If you want to shorten the stance a bit, you can heel toe your back, left foot in an inch or two. Soften in the right knee just a bit. That makes the transition on your back a little gentler. Hinge your torso forward to the front short side of the mat. Let your right hand start to come down. Maybe your right knee starts to move towards straight now as your left arm reaches up, or the left hand can always come to your hip. Now as your hand gently rests on your shin bones, you're going to feel your shin bones press in toward your hand as well. I tend to like to take my gaze down toward my right big toe, draw the low ribs on the front body in, and take a deep inhale. Deep exhale. Deep breath in. Now, as you're exhaling, we're going to bring the hands down, frame the front right foot as the right knee bends and the left heel spins away from the floor. Stepping the right foot back into downward facing dog. Now you can hold in the down dog. You can also take cat-cow or child's pose. You might want to opt again for the vinyasa flow that we did. So maybe lowering the knees, shifting the hips slightly forward as you float the feet. I like floating the feet, gives the body a sense of lightness. Reach out through the crown of the head. As you exhale, bend the elbows, maybe 2, 4, 6, or you can come all the way down. Uncrossing the ankles as your thighs melt toward the floor and your heart lifts through cobra position. Now you can always rock back through table, coming into down dog, or you can draw the low ribs in and shift the hips straight up and back. I'm just gonna come back into down dog in a way that works best for our body, for our back. Take a deep inhale. Deep exhale. Another inhalation. Last exhalation here. We're going to take the knees lightly down into the tabletop. From here, breathing in, release the belly down toward the floor, lifting up through the heart. Exhale, pressing into the hands, taking the tailbone under, rounding through the spinal column. Inhale, bring the spine to neutral. We're going to shift the hips out to the right or to the left, coming down to a seated position. So for the seated position, if you like, you can take the blanket that was beneath your knees and you might roll it up. And then you can sit on the edge of that blanket facing the long side of your mat. Now we're going to do some forward folding here. And so sometimes I like to use the 2 blocks for my hands. So you might end up wanting to use those, or otherwise hands on the floor is just fine. So as you sit up on your edge of your blanket, you're going to take your right leg and open it out to the side, half wide angle, and then you're going to let your left knee bend so that your heel lines up with the center of your body. So you're going to just sit up nice and tall. So you're going to feel your spine elongate. So this is the half wide angle position, which I find is just a little bit gentler than the full version. So you can take your hands to the blocks, or you can take your hands to the floor. Just start to lean your torso a little bit forward. Take a deep inhale and a deep exhale. Now, you can always stay a little more upright. You could also begin to slide the blocks forward so that you can take the body a little farther forward, coming into a slightly stronger stretch in the inner legs. Once you're here, just think of softening through your forehead, relaxing through your eyes, and feeling the breath expansive. As we focus the mind upon the movement of breath, it allows us to clear the mind, the screen of the mind, calm the chatter of the mind. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Let's take one more inhale. And one last exhale. And then as you're breathing in, you want to start to slide your blocks back in so that you can bring your body back upright, your shoulders line up over your hips, and then you can just lean back into your hands and switch out your legs, extend your left leg out as you bend your right knee, right heel lines up with the center of the body. Hands can come to the blocks, press out through your left heel, and then you can just start to lean your body just a little bit forward. Pause there and take a breath in and a deep breath out. And then if you feel ready, you could Slide your hands a little farther forward. Deep inhale. Deep exhale. Take another deep inhalation. Deep exhalation. Taking your next breath in, you can start to slowly slide your blocks back in. And now if you'd like, you can actually swing your legs back to the front short side of your yoga mat. And so I find for the balance on the sitting bones, I like to actually work without a blanket. So you might just leave the blanket to the side. You can move the blocks so that they're out of your way. We're actually going to start by taking reverse table before we come into the balance. So you can bend your knees and place your feet flat. Your sitting bones can line with your heels or a little wider. And so for this one, I like to turn my wrist creases to face out toward the long sides of the mat. So here you're going to roll the shoulder blades toward one another and lift up through your heart. Now you might just even opt to stay right here, just in this gentle chest opener. You might also opt to exhale and press your hands and your feet down really strong, and then begin to float your hips up into the air. And so as that happens, you might have to adjust your feet a little bit. Now we'll just pulse here just a few times. So as you're inhaling, you can let your hips start to come back down toward the floor. And just remember, you can always keep your hips down the whole time. Exhale, press it down, and just allow your hips to lift back up. Spread through your fingers. Inhale as you begin to let your hips start to lower toward the floor, kind of hovering there. Exhale, your foundation is strong as you elevate your hips back upward. And then we're going to do that this very last time. So as you breathe in, let your hips start to come down toward the floor. And as you exhale, spread the fingers and elevate the hips back up. And then we're going to inhale and take the hips all the way back down. Go wide with your feet and sway your knees a few times. All right, so we're gonna bring the feet almost into like a bound angle position so the feet can be close. We're gonna take the hands down. So I also wanted to show you this with a strap, okay, because you can do this with a strap. So one of the variations is maybe to just lean back a little bit, hold on to the ankles, and just float the feet, okay? So you can even just work there. It's just an abdominal strengthener, and so that's a really great option. Another variation is to give your arms a little more length by taking the strap along the outside edges of the feet and start to float the feet up. And then you can start to, from there, separate the feet. So you just kind of got to be a little skillful about sliding the hands out. So it looks like happy baby on your sitting bones. Now there's going to be a strong tendency for rounding in the spine, because that's a little bit easier, I think, to balance. So you can gently use your hands to lift your heart so that you get a little more length. Now, if you can catch hold of your feet, you can actually hold the outer edges of your feet and use your feet in the same way. Lift up through your heart. Okay? Now, you can use the strap for this, or you can hold onto the feet. You can always stay here, or the upward wide angle is then to continue to extend through the legs. So there's lots of room for variation. We might just be floating the feet away from the floor. We might be using the strap in the upward happy baby position, or we might be extending out through the legs. So a great balance pose, so it encourages focus and concentration. And also the limbs extending out from the heart, create a sense of lightness and expansiveness. Take a breath in. One last breath out. Okay, and then as slowly as you came in, start to let your knees bend. Start to let your feet come down. And you can do a few of those seated windshield wipers. So I often find those to be so helpful. So just lean into your hands, sway your legs. When you feel ready, you can just simply transition to your spine and just do a few more windshield wipers. Just come on down to your back, plant your feet wide, sway your knees a few times from side to side. As your knees fall over to the left, this next time around, you can stay. Slight anchoring of the inner edge of your right foot down to the floor. You can stay here in this version. Sometimes people like to take the left foot, lift the left foot up and cross it over the top of the outer right thigh. So that's an option as well. Feel the weight of your shoulder blades ground down and that expansive feel as you stretch out through your arms. Releasing the left foot back down to the floor if it was up. Breathing in, come back to the center with your knees and over to the right with your knees. Anchor the inner edge of your left foot down toward the floor. If you like, you can pick up your right foot and cross your right foot over your left thigh. Take an inhalation and an exhalation here. Releasing the right foot down, slowly bringing the knees back up to the center. If it feels okay on your back, you can keep your feet wide, but let your knees and your thighs fall together so they're resting upon one another. You can also just leave your knees pointing straight up to the sky. That feels better on your back. We're gonna lift the arms up, so stretch the fingertips up toward the sky, and you're gonna cross your right arm on top, and you're just gonna see about just wrapping your arms around your heart, just drawing energy back into the center from that expansive, upward-facing wide angle pose. Notice the openness across that space of your shoulder blades and the space between your shoulder blades. Inhale, lift your arms back up. We're just gonna cross the left arm on top, and then give yourself a gentle hug. Your arms float up and let your arms release down by your sides. So you can either take your knees and keep them as they are. You can extend out through your legs, coming into the final rest of Savasana. And maybe turning your palms upward to face the sky and noticing the earth beneath the body and the space above you that surrounds you. Taking a minute here, just let the breath come back into its natural rhythm. Allowing yourself the gift of the stillness. Stillness allows us to connect into that more spacious and expansive feeling. Taking a last deep inhalation and exhalation here. And then you can allow your knees one at a time to bend so that your feet come flat to the floor. You can slowly roll over to the right or to the left. Press your hands down and start to rise upward to your seat. So as you come to your seat, you can let your hands come together at your heart. Take a deep inhalation and last exhalation here. The light within me sees and bows to that same light that exists within you. Namaste.